Here with King of Pressure Wash, and today I have a special guest on. See if we can get us in frame here. And he's all the way from Australia. He's actually not, but that's kind of an inside joke. When he actually came to one of my in-person classes 5, 6 years ago, 2018, 19, sometime in there. And so tonight we're going to kind of just chit chat and talk about how he has grown his business in the middle of nowhere, BFE. He's up here in God's country. And so we will get started with how he got started and kind of all of that good stuff. And we'll probably get talking about who knows what, but our goal is to help you start and grow your business. And so we will also talk about what is success, right? You know, some people think success is making $1 million. Some people think success is what is success. And so it's important as we start growing our businesses, what is success? Howdy, Dallas. And so before we get going off here too much, just tell me a little bit, Josh, who are you, where are you from, and all of that awesome stuff.
Well, like Jason said, my name is Josh. I'm from New Zealand.
Australia.
And I moved to the States going back 7 years ago. I married an American and I live in the States now. So yeah, 5 years ago, I think I took Jason's course. I was getting into power washing and soft washing, and that's what started it all.
And the cool thing about this too is you're actually getting your citizenship next month, right?
Yep.
So that is pretty cool that he is getting his citizenship here in the United States. He's been living on the green card for all those years. Did you come up through Mexico or did you?
I swam.
He swam. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that is pretty cool of what we got going on here. So tell me a little bit what you got going on in the chat, because I'd like to see some comments coming through, because that also helps my algorithm get other people here. Because I didn't put out the text because I'm actually out of town and I'm actually filming on my phone. So if you wonder why you didn't get a text, that is why you didn't get a text. So as we get going here, okay. So you obviously started your pressure washing business. You came in here, took my Canadian wife 18 years to get citizenship. So wow. We're not too far from the Canadian border. We're actually, how far are we away from there?
Depends. Probably about an hour and a half.
So we're an hour and a half south of the border. And so through that, we're up here in Maine. So let's talk a little bit about Maine and pressure washing, right? Because, you know, we do have, we have a short window to make the $125,000, $100,000 in a year to do it, be able to do that. And so some things that I want to kind of hit on tonight, Josh, is how we came and became full-time, because that was a struggle of getting you to go full-time and quitting your other job because of the stability and you got a good job and all of that. So can you talk me a little bit about how you got started and then that first couple of steps of how you quit your full-time job?
Yeah, so I had, like Jason said, I had a full-time job, and that was starting to wind down. I was looking at starting something with myself and my wife, and yeah, it was difficult because in Maine the climate is, you know, we have super harsh winters, so the season for washing is really only 5-6 months max. So you have to do everything in that time frame. So yeah, at first I would be doing, you know, my prep work in terms of my research and buying equipment and whatnot, preparing for a season to start. And then, yeah, the first year I kept my full-time job and started pressure washing part-time because, yeah, I wasn't confident enough to commit to just jumping into it 100% because of that seasonal thing.
So let's talk about once you did commit, what was some things that you were able to do by committing to going full time?
Well, one of the things was doing the training course that helped to build up confidence enough. I had been doing power washing for a little bit, a few jobs, handfuls of jobs. So I knew how the soft washing worked and surface cleaning, all that kind of stuff. What had got me into it in the first place was roof cleaning, actually, because I saw there was no one doing roof cleaning up here. I looked into roof cleaning. I was trying to find something I could invest minimal capital into and get the most return back. And it seemed like building, a 12-volt roof rig seemed like the best way to spend, a couple grand and make that back in no time. And that was true. So I started with the roof cleaning and that took off pretty quickly, then got to power washing. Then I decided, I need some more confidence in terms of quoting, in terms of doing the right job, the right process. So I went out to Kentucky, Ohio.
Yep.
Pretty much same place, right? And did the course, and that gave me the confidence to know that what I was doing was right. Just really keep being confident in my pricing, instilling that, and he.
Don't tell us that it's the same place.
Nathan.
Nathan lives in Kentucky, so Kentucky and Ohio is not the same place.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's
Right.
not.
I'm glad you can tell the difference. Because I don't think this guy can.
It's about like it's New Zealand
It's just
versus
corn, right?
Australia.
It's just corn everywhere, right? That's
Yeah.
all I remember.
Yeah, and I come up here and I was like, "Where's all the farmland at? Where's the cornfields? Where's everything out? It's all just trees everywhere you
Woods.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took the course, and that year was the year that I went full time in washing.
And what did you do your first year in Washington? Do you remember or kind of remember?
So that 6-month season, I think the first year I did like probably 65,000, I would say. I don't know off the top of my head, but it
But
was
that's
something
still pretty
around there.
good, 65,000, because your full-time job, you were making a little bit more than that, and that was something that you were worried about.
Yeah.
At that point, because then you lost your insurance and all of those good things that
Exactly.
people think about as you're starting and growing a business. And
Yeah, I had insurance with that, and it was more the security during the winter, because once winter hits here, everything like power washing or any seasonal work stops immediately.
So with that, as you get time freedom, because now you've gotten time freedom, because you don't work all the time, and that's something that we were talking about. And talk to me a little bit about working with your wife or your spouse. I know a lot of times people ask this question, and this is a good question about if you're working with your spouse, how does that work? And is it a good? Some people can be bad because they can't get along with their spouse, but how has that built your relationship with your wife?
Oh wow, that's a good question. It's been great. I mean, I can't complain. We're very different personalities, which I think in a business is really good to have. And obviously, being different physical capabilities, we complement each other in different ways. So, I think working with my spouse. The only downside is that work really never ends because we're both thinking about work even when we come home at the end of the day, And as much as, a lot of owning your own business, it really never ends.
Right.
You're always thinking work, you're always thinking about your clients and stuff. So that can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But working with her, it's great because we have our own systems. She does all the the mixing, the cam stuff, and getting prep all stuff ready. I do all the focus on getting the customer stuff ready, all the cleaning stuff, and then when we are doing cleaning, we have our roles that we stick to. I'm normally doing the roof cleaning. She's my ground girl doing the water and whatnot. So it's a well-oiled machine. Works pretty well.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool, right? Because as you do this, and you both love to travel because you do go back and forth to New Zealand, and through owning your own business has allowed you to go over there for a month or whatever you may need to be able to help with your family or just go visit with them. And so if you would have had a full-time job, you wouldn't be able to do that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely given us the ability to. We go somewhere every year, so I think the first year we went to Mexico a couple times, and then we've been to Japan, New Zealand, been traveling everywhere because that's what we enjoy doing. And owning my own business is the only way that I've been able to do that.
So we were talking a little bit before we jumped on here about competition. Today I got a message from Jason Hefner down in Florida that, and this is something that I know a lot of people struggle with, and dealing with mindset, and and I may piss people off when I talk about this, but that's all right, because if it pisses you off, then maybe you need to go back and think about it a little bit. But charging enough, learning how to charge, because I remember this was a big topic with you in the beginning, that I don't know how Josh got my phone number, but he did, and not many people have my phone number.
You gave it to me because I was star of the class, remember?
Yeah, I think something like that.
I killed it.
I think he got the most reviews or something. I don't know what happened, but I did give him my phone number. Not a lot of people have my phone number. And so in the beginning, he would call me and I would ask him his prices, and he would tell me, and I was like, dude, you need to raise your prices. Dude, you need to raise your prices. And he'd be like, nah, dude, you can't raise my prices, blah, blah, blah.
In my defense, he says that to everyone, though. He says you just need to raise your prices, which in regards is pretty true.
But, he's also telling me every year that he's raising this in at $150 of a minimum and doing stuff. And so that tells me you could have did it last year. You've just been too scared to do it. And so as we talk about this, right? So Jason had said something about someone that did a 3,000 square foot house for $200. Right. And so when people do that, raising it 150 each year is what the minimum, raising it 150. So like his minimum for a 2,000 square foot house is 750. Right. And so as you do this, you will learn that people will pay that 750 for a 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
It takes you an hour and you're in and out. And
I've never charged 150 ever.
You never charged?
I've never charged 150 ever. Not even 200. So.
But, and this is something that as we grow and as we do this, you will learn that it will, you work less and make more money. And that's what it's all about. It's not doing 10 jobs at $200 to make $2,000. It's to do 2 jobs to make that $2,000 or 3, right? And as we do this, you will get your average ticket up. And so I wanted to hit on that a little bit. And I knew I'd already pissed people off because I'm already down 5 people from me starting this. But this is how you make the money to be able to grow your business. And so as you started growing, let's talk a little bit about what all did you do to get more business? How are you doing marketing? And what did you do in the beginning versus what are you doing now to get more new customers?
Good question. In the beginning, definitely, I started with things like yard signs, flyers, just started working in with Facebook and social media. And that was good, honestly, for the amount of money you can put into yard signs. The return on them is fantastic. Definitely, no matter where you are, it just, even one job will pay for, 200 yard signs. So it's definitely something. I don't do yard signs anymore because I don't need to with that. I then, in the second year, invested a lot more into my website. So I outsourced that. I made my own website through Wix and did it all that. And it worked. It did the job, but I thought that a better website was going to be, and that was the best decision I've made marketing wise, is outsourcing it to a professional company that can build and maintain it all the time. And that's what's blown my business up the most, is having a website that's different from everyone else, in the area.
And then you worked on your 5-star reviews and all of that.
So then going forward with that has been marketing a lot online. I've done Google, I've done Facebook a lot. I probably spend quite a bit on Facebook still every month, just having that constant presence on there. But yeah, it's word of mouth at this point too, with the marketing. But I'd say, by having the website built and outsourced, that was, and working on 5-star reviews, as Jason said, working on those relationships with clients, so you can get that reputation in the area is major. That's invaluable, really.
So as you started growing, you started doing something else too, because there is that are doing this, and how long have you been in business? So he started in 2000, and I'm almost 100 reviews. So when did you start
This is
your
my
business?
fifth season.
So it's his fifth season. So that's how long he's been doing this and at this. I'm gonna have to hit it and then mess up my live. I'll be mad. But this is something that, as we were growing and as you were growing, you kind of started niching into a niche, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about what happens when we get into a niche, how that can help us, and we can that for that. And I don't know if you all can hear the dinging or not, but I've got a thing dinging on me. So talk to me a little bit about how we can niche into getting into a niche.
Yeah, so you and everyone.
What is a niche?
Yeah, a niche is.
Is it niche or niche? What is a niche?
It's a specific area of work or service that you target your attention, your marketing, your effort into seeking those clients and those clients only. I would say that's roughly what a niche is,
I
right?
agree. Yep. You focus on one thing. So instead of being broad, right? House washing, roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, driveway cleaning, deck cleaning, whatever, right? That's a broad niche.
Yeah.
So when we niche in, whether that might be fleet washing, maybe you might go niche in on roof cleaning, right? You might put, and what you do at that point is you put all your marketing efforts and pictures, and you really focus in on that you become the expert, right? You are the expert when it comes to that, because that's everything you do. And usually when you do it with house washing, everybody's doing house washing. So I know some companies that will niche in on roof cleaning, or they niche in on the wood, and that's kind of what you went after, right?
Yeah, just with the area that we live in, there's a lot of cedar around, a lot of wood, a lot of like Brazilian hardwood stuff. There's a wealthy summer community, so that was an area that was not getting. I mean, power washing wasn't super flooded in this area as is, just soft washing in general. So you can imagine wood restoration was pretty much untouched. So that's what I
So you
started
go after the
niching
wood.
into.
So let's talk about wood cleaning, because I know this is something that we don't really. I've talked to a couple people.
I love the
hate
roof.
wood. Yeah, I love the roofs. I hate the wood.
You know what? I used to hate the wood too, and I hated it because I didn't really understand it. And once you understand the processes, it's like it can be very rewarding. Just like soft washing, like a filthy vinyl house can be so rewarding.
Yeah. So let's talk about wood. Let's talk about a little bit about wood, and what are some things that we want to do and what do we not want to do with it.
It's deep. It's a deep topic. Yeah, wood. There's a few things you need to find out.
So
with
first
wood.
thing probably is what type of wood we're working with, right?
Right,
Because
definitely.
every wood is going to be different and it's going to react different.
I think the biggest thing is, what's the wood we're working with? What condition is it in? Does it have a seal on it? Does it not have a seal? What's the age of it? And then finding out what the client's goal is. Is the client's goal to just make their house look better? Is their goal to stain it and seal it and protect it for the future? Is the goal to completely transform the look of it altogether and have something completely different? Once you get those goals down,
Yeah, you can keep reading now.
once you get those goals down, then it can help simplify the process on what you would use to go about achieving those results.
So we just bleach it and go on. Is that how we do wood?
Just spray it with SH, 6%, done. No. Yeah, sodium hypochlorite is a fantastic chemical, and it works great on many things, but it does have its limits, and it does have its facets that it can't achieve. So you can't make bleach do something it's not going to do, and bleach doesn't have any ability to penetrate beneath the surface with porous substances. Stuff like maybe some areas like with concrete and stuff, as you guys know, bleach can penetrate somewhat, but it really doesn't have the ability to do that with wood. So pretty much the only thing you're going to achieve with bleaching wood is just bleaching it out and cleaning the surface, whatever's on the surface.
So if you're using a wood and you're doing wood, so we have sodium percarbonate, we have sodium hydroxide, we have sodium meta, whatever that is.
What's it?
I don't know what it's called.
Come on, you're going to know this.
Oh, I don't.
Sodium metasilicate,
Yeah, that word right there.
Yeah.
See, New Zealand knew it, or Australia knew it. See, I knew we could figure it out. So, so let's talk about a little bit about each one and what works. You know, does some work better with hardwoods? Does some work better with softwoods? How do we know which one to use on a deck? Or decks, a house, wood, whatever it might be.
Yeah, well, those three in particular, those would probably be the most three commonly, and people that know what they're talking about wood cleaning know those three chemicals are definitely the three best ones to have in your inventory. But at the same time, like bleach has a certain ability, those chemicals all have certain abilities too. You can't make them do something that they can't. So starting at the basics, sodium percarbonate is essentially just it's sold as like an oxygenated bleach, a wood bleach. It's effectively just hydrogen peroxide when it's mixed with
Right.
water. So it can penetrate into wood. So sodium percarbonate is a decent wood cleaner if the wood is relatively new, if it has not been stained or sealed. Say it's been installed maybe 2-3 years, got some light staining on it in terms of organics. Sodium percarbonate is definitely going to be a good choice for that. If you're getting into coatings or seals, or if you're getting into organics that have penetrated deeper into the wood, like your lichens, the moment you see lichen growing on wood, that's got a root system that's gone deeper than the surface. So you're going to need something with a bit more penetrating capabilities. And that's when the sodium metasilicate comes in. Sodium metasilicate, excellent cleaner, and it's able to penetrate pretty much any wooden surface. And it's a good mild stripper as well. So I'll use sodium metasilicate if it's got an oil film. They've used an oil-based sealer, and it's starting to wear through, it's starting to be thin. Sodium metasilicate will take care of that. Then if you've got severe organic staining, if you've got coatings, oil-based coatings, then sodium hydroxide is the next best thing. Sodium hydroxide is great as an all-around degreaser. Pretty much all the degreasers you guys buy and use is going to have lye or sodium hydroxide as the base chemical because of what it's able to do. But it does work fantastic on wood too. Great cleaner, really powerful stripper. So those are the three chemicals as bases. And then, yeah, someone said acid. You need to use acid. Yeah, with any one of those, and even...
So let's talk a little bit about the bases. Where are we at on the pH scale for each one of those, or do you kind of got an idea of, or no average?
Don't quote me on this, but they're all going to be sitting between 12 and 13, 14 on the pH scale. So they are pretty high, all of them. In saying that, sodium hypochlorite's really high too. So there's going to be conflicting thoughts on using acid after using sodium hypochlorite. I have in the past used, and hundreds of thousands of you all around the world use sodium hypochlorite on stuff and don't use acid. But if you're using any heavy base on a wooden surface, you do need to neutralize it with an acid. So yeah, any one of those chemicals, including bleach, I would recommend it get neutralized with acid.
So what type of acid are we doing? Like a harsh, like a hydro, or are we doing more like a lighter acid?
Yeah, you don't need to go anything like hydro. You can, but there's no point in using something that powerful. Oxalic acid is what you want to neutralize those.
And
those
basically,
chemicals.
what we're doing is we're taking that hard base and that acid, and we're bringing it back to 7, so that wood is neutral at that point.
Yeah, so when it's neutral, it's going to do oxalic in is going to do more than just neutralize it. Obviously, it's going to take that base back to being that neutral around 6 or 7, so it can take stain in. Oxalic's also going to open up the wood pores as well. So it opens up the wood fibers to accept more stain coming through, and it color corrects it. As many of you that have sprayed oxalic on a deck have seen, it removes the tannins that the UV from the sunlight brings to the surface. Especially with cedar, when you see all the gray, brown, or pressure treated, you can see some of those grays and browns streaking, nail bleeds, stuff like that. Oxalic's going to be able to neutralize that and brighten the wood to remove that.
That was Nathan asked a good question of, do we need to use any pressure with it, or how much pressure do we want to put on wood?
That's another good question. It really depends on what it is. I mean, if you're stripping stains and paints, yeah, a lot of the time you're going to need to use pressure. If you're doing in the wood cleaning community, there's something called like a hard cleaning that you'll use some pressure to strip off all the dead wood fibers. But I would say you would never need to use more than 1,000 psi on anything. Going more than that is defeating the purpose. When I do wood restoration, I never go over 800 with my nozzles. So, and most of the time I'm restoring wood with what you guys would be rinsing with your level 1 soap tip, which I don't know what PSI that's at. Only a couple
Not very,
hundred.
yeah,
though.
that's the 25.
That's right, yeah.
It's like not very much.
Because at that point, if you've got your ratios right, the chemical's doing majority of the work. So you don't need to use high pressure.
Gotcha. So with that, are you putting sealer on it, or do you not do the sealer side of it?
We weren't until last year we started doing it. That's kind of where the niche market kind of pulled us into. I wasn't interested. I don't love doing it right now, but I was restoring so many properties and so many decks that clients were saying, do you know of anyone that can stain this? Do you know of anyone that can seal this? And it's also something that I encourage, and it's something that you guys should encourage too. If you're cleaning decks, if you're cleaning wood, anything, even we're cleaning vinyl sided homes, our goal is to educate the homeowner that they need to keep up with the maintenance. Your goal is you want to clean that house again, whether it's 2 years or 3 years time, you want that customer again. So if we're restoring a whole wood house.
Hey, look, you got a buddy from Australia
look at
over there.
DB.
Looking to get into pressure washing.
Nice. So, what were we talking about?
Wood. About sealing it.
Yes. So yeah, we were restoring wood, and we had restored so many properties, and we had got it to this, near new condition. Any better would be just replacing it or installing something new. And we would tell the client, if you want to lock this in, you need to stain it, you need to seal it, because wood needs to be constantly moist for it to stay healthy, stop it from torquing, twisting, buckling. So yeah, I have stained and sealed houses and decks.
So with that, how do you use a sprayer to steal them, or are you pump up spraying it, or do you got a 12-volt system, or how
you
are
can
you
use airless sprayer. Airless sprayers work great, or just bucket and brush method. A lot of times I only use oil-based stain. I don't use any water-based products because I just personally think oil's the way to go, and it's easy to apply. It looks great, and it's the best way to keep penetrating oil, best way to keep wood healthy. So yeah, a lot of the time you can just get started with a bucket and brush.
Yeah. So with wood, how long does it take to do a house? especially the houses. Decks.
What kind of question's that? How long?
And here's the reason why this is what I'm hitting on. So actually, we had a guy in my group, and he came on my Monday night marketing the other night, and he did a deck, and he was at 30 cents a square foot per square foot to clean it, and I'm like, no, because
With-
he's like, and how much? And I was like, you charge $1.25 to $1.50, because he's like, I was there forever. He's like, I want to price myself so I never do another deck. I said, well, you be $1.50 to $2, and you'll probably still get them, but at least you're making good money at that point. So how do we calculate, or how long it takes, or to seal and clean a deck, or seal and clean a small cabin, or something along those
Like-
lines?
Just restoring.
Yeah, just restore one.
You can do it by square footage. A lot of time that can be quite tedious to calculate it all out. A lot of times I will calculate by square footage just to give the homeowner like a fair quote so they can actually see something. But a lot of the times I just price it out as a lump sum like I would with a vinyl sided house.
Talk a little bit about Green Ox. Do you know much about the Green Ox? And
Green Ox.
yeah, it's a product that you can actually spray into waterways and stuff, and it's EPA approved and stuff. Or Ox Renew might be another word for it. I believe there's a couple of different names.
Ox
of it.
Renew Green Ox.
I think it was that. Let's see if I can find it here. Ox Renew. I've heard that works great as well. I'm not sure if that
Sounds
can-
like if it's Ox Renew, it's oxalic acid, right?
I think it does it through the bleach. I think it's percarbonate is what I think it is.
Okay.
So, are you talking surface cleaner, normal tip? Not a surface cleaner, normal tip. Your normal tip for your soft wash set for your 35 or your 25 high pressure is what it is, and it's about 600 to 800 psi is where you're going to be at in there. Talking about different types of sealing, can you put concrete sealer over existing sealer? And the answer to that is not a good idea to do it, especially if you're doing the shiny stuff. You will have hazing everywhere. It'll be white spots everywhere because that sealer's not able to get down into the concrete, and it'll just sit right on top, and it will haze, and it will not be good for you at all. Buying a good trailer. How are you applying the chems on those? Green Ox is what I was talking about. Green Ox, yeah. So you haven't heard of Green Ox?
I haven't heard of it.
All right, well, it's another product out there. So how
But
are
it's
you?
probably one of those 4 chemicals. I'm almost certain it's one of those 4.
So how are you applying the on that stuff on the house? Not the sealers, but the actual the bleach
wood
or the
restoration
wood
chems?
restoration. Yeah,
There it is there.
yeah,
I'm going to check what this Green Ox is.
yeah. It's EPA approved that they can actually do it over waterways and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'll check it out afterwards.
yeah,
It looks like sodium bicarbonate, but
yeah.
I don't know why you would put that in anything in waterways, right? I don't know why you put anything in waterways, but even warm water. But anyway, how are we applying the wood chemicals? So you can do a pump-up sprayer. I've done it. I've done many decks with a pump-up sprayer. When you're doing bigger jobs, 12 volt, or a bucket pump. I don't know if you guys have discussed bucket pumps on here. They're pretty good, easy to build. Downstreaming, I wouldn't say downstreaming is you're gonna able to get it strong enough to do a proper wood restoration. So I don't think with the strength you would need to mix it out, you can do it downstreaming.
Right. So I know we kind of got on the wood stuff because that is something that people hate and do, and it is something that you can niche into. I have a friend that he still does decks because nobody else, and he's up to $8 to $10 a square foot to clean and seal decks because nobody wants to do it. Now he does have a competitor that will do it for $2 to $4 a square foot, but he's still getting calls to do it at $8 to $10 a square foot and to get them done. So there is money in it. There is always going to be a cheap guy doing it, and you will always have to overcome that no matter what we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's always going to be someone. I mean, lots of people know that that just spraying bleach on wood changes it dramatically color wise, and you know it doesn't take much for someone to spray bleach on it, and if they're charging $90 to do that, then there's no point in even trying to compete with those kind of people, though.
Well, and that's a way that you can set yourself apart, and I still teach people to do, and I know I get aggravated by using house wash mix of just doing a simple deck clean. But deck cleaning versus what we're talking about of doing the houses, it's a lot different.
Definitely.
It's not the same. It's not even close to being the same.
Yeah, different things. Like obviously, sodium hypochlorite's not. You can spray that on windows and rinse it off without any worries. The moment you start getting with these really stronger bases and any acids involved, you really have to be careful with your aluminums and your metal trims, glass. That stuff is what you have to watch out for, because those chemicals are going to react differently.
Now,
with those.
what do you mean by that? Let's go down that alley a little bit. What do you mean by you can screw stuff up with the acids hitting that stuff, correct?
Yeah, so a heavy base is always going to oxidize. So things like aluminum, metal trim, you can get those fancy door handles, which may be pewter, bronze, all those metals you got to watch out, because they can get oxidized by heavy bases. So your metasilicates, your hydroxides, and acid etches glass. So it's just a byproduct of what it does. Thankfully, oxalic is, most of the time it's low enough concentration that it's not going to etch glass, but you need to be diligent. It's almost like your roof cleaning. When you're spraying roof, you always have a ground guy, wetting everything around those drip edges. It's the same thing when you're restoring a house. If you're applying oxalic, you got to have a guy with you, or you got to be ready with a hose to keep stuff wet, like windows and stuff that can oxidize.
Yeah, and so that's a good point of what we can screw up with the acid or the bases, right? We can screw up either which way if we're not paying attention, or if we don't follow systems, right? Because it's about following systems to make sure that we don't screw stuff up.
Yep.
So I've seen some questions coming. If anybody's got any questions, don't hesitate to ask out here. Can we reach you for more questions? That's up to him. Hey guys, I got his information. I'll send it to you, Nathan. That way you can bug the crap out of him. Hey guys, what's up? Is your opinion Southeast Soft Wash Chemicals? I'm not even gonna get into that. Go to Spray Wash Academy and and just type in that name and see what all comes up there. There was one today that I was kind of laughing a little bit about. Wood class. I worked with a landscape lighting company today, and he breaks down his pricing by the light. I think to be a better way. Thoughts? I agree. What about those glass doors right up against the deck? So when we're talking about our screened-in porch, or our sliding glass doors, that is where we're talking about. And even here's another thing too that I know that you can screw up too is southeast, or where was I heading with that? With hitting hydroxide, right? And if you're using it for a degreaser on concrete, which he just said most of your degreasers have it, you got to be careful when you're getting at the bottom of those doors, up commercial doors, because you can screw that stuff up too with the aluminum, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sodium hydroxide is a very strong caustic material. So depending on how strong you mix it up, it can oxidize anything at different rates, but metals are very vulnerable to that oxidation.
And that's one of those things too. We did a big cabin when I was doing this, when I was actually doing wood, and we had to strip it off and clean it. And this stuff is very dangerous. It will give you third-degree burns.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It got down in my sock, and I didn't know about it. And next thing I knew, I had third-degree burns around my ankle, and it wasn't fun. So just be careful when we're spraying this stuff, and we're, you need to make sure you're wearing your safety glasses and everything along those lines, right?
Yeah, definitely. If you're doing anything with hydroxide, I'm always full face respirator, You got your skin covered. The other thing is with these chemicals, they reactivate when they get wet. So that's another thing you got to worry about is even if the chemical dries on you, spraying water on yourself is just going to reactivate it. So you can get burned later on as well. So you got to be very careful about keeping any exposed skin covered up. Obviously, keeping your respirator on. When you're doing decks and stuff, if you're spraying stuff on the ground, quite a lot of the time there's no need for that. Again, if there's a breeze or something like that, but yeah, all of these chemicals definitely need PPE with them.
Yep. I see some more questions.
Greenox Renew, it's hydrogen peroxide and potassium hydroxide.
Yeah, I told you it was pretty much the same. Do you calculate in the reins?
In the rails?
In the rails, yeah.
Yes. Rail, like on a deck?
Yeah.
Rails are one of the biggest part of the deck, so that is definitely something. When I calculate rails, I don't do it by square foot, I do it by linear foot, and then I have my price based on linear foot. And that of the handrail includes spindles as well.
Hey, Jason, you're like, where's Waldo? Where the heck are you? Man, I'm up in the hills in the Maine, in the middle of nowhere, and somebody.
Bigfoot country.
Yeah, Bigfoot country. If you don't mind me asking, as new to this, how come that topic is not something that you would not talk to me about out of curiosity? Sorry to ask. As I am looking to find chemicals to. Here's the deal with that. You're in Australia, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get that over there. And honestly, you don't need it, right? You know, here let's talk about chemicals, because I love chemicals. People make a killing off of chemicals, right? And the only thing you really need to do house washing with is sodium hypochlorite. That's the only thing you need. Sodium hypochlorite will do 90% of your jobs, 90 to 95% of your jobs. You can do roof cleaning, you can do concrete cleaning, and you can do house washing, right? We can do all our jobs with that one chemical. And I know people that don't even put surfactant in the chemical, right? In the bleach. You can literally do that. If you want to put something in it to make it smell, you can go get laundry detergent, and that will work for you too. DJ, don't even put nothing in it. Benjamin Gregory, doing $1 million a year, he puts scent in it. That's all. He goes off of Etsy and buys the scent, and that's all he puts in it. You don't need all these chemicals. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings, but you don't need all these chemicals. When Jason Hefner started his pressure washing business, he had a whole shelf full of chemicals. He bought all the chemicals because that's what everybody told him to do. You need all these chemicals, right? You need all these acids. And all it is a death trap waiting to happen in his garage, right? If something falls over there, leaks down in something, it's literally going to blow up is what can happen. And that's why, acids, I only used acids when I absolutely had them and I bought them for that job. The reason why I didn't keep them is if one drop of acid gets in a thing of bleach, it will blow up. It'll blow up whatever it's blowing up. I had a guy have a tank of bleach and put some lemon scented stuff in his bleach tank, and it got so hot the tank was loose just from the little bit of scent from that. So it's very dangerous, these chemicals that we're dealing with. And you being in Australia, there's no reason that you need to pay for all this money to get chemicals over there when all you got to try to do is find sodium hypochlorite, right? That's the number one chemical that you have to find over there and get it over there. And from there, you don't need all of the other stuff out there. And if you do, then it's a one-off basis, and we figure it out from there. And a lot of these chemicals, there ain't no special sauce to them, right? They're just, they know they have it, but they need to know what it is. You're hurting my feelings.
Is that DJ?
That is DJ. So, Safe SH cover scent. One thing you got to make sure of, whatever you're putting in bleach, is make sure it's bleach stable. And don't put Dawn dish or dish detergent in it, because it's not actually bleach safe. It literally says on the back of it, do not put in bleach, because it will kill your bleach. And so I know this wasn't a bleach spiel, but people wonder why we don't need to talk about chemicals, because chemicals, the number one chemical that we're dealing with is sodium hypochlorite, and that will do 90% of your work. All of the wood restoration is a whole beast on its own. If you're going to go down that route, you can go buy, I guarantee you can go buy sodium hydroxide in Australia or lye. It's the same stuff, right? You can probably buy the sodium, the other one that he said. I know you can buy oxalic acid in Australia, right? Those are the three chemicals that you're going to be using for the wood if you're going to do it. So don't get so caught up into what I need to buy, and I know they make great videos and they talk about just spraying it on. I want to tell you something. I seen one roof and they used the chemical and sprayed it on. It didn't come off like they said. So don't always believe what you see. That's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't even want to get on that kick, but sorry, I did. Let's see. Preach it, brother. And that's Mr. Bubbles saying that. I've been house washing with no soap lately, and there ain't no difference, really. We stain 4 to 5 decks a year. Thank you, Mr. Bubble. You have a channel as well. I've seen your name. Yes, he does.
15 fences a year.
15 fences a year. What Mr. B, yes, Southeast has good chems. I also recommend runs over recommend Russ over at Southside Equipment. But just remember, you got your lawn with. I have cleaned off a wood barn that's then stain it to be clear. That exact process. Would you use it? It's cedar.
You got to figure out what's on it first. If it has any sealer or no sealer on it, and how old the wood is.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably pretty old. You smell it, it's burning you. Yep. What surfactant do you like? I need a new smell. Tristan. I knew this guy was lurking. I don't use surfactant, would like a scent though. Big time is here. You guys started asking a bunch of questions now. Hey Josh, what's your top 3 marketing strategies?
Ooh, top 3 marketing strategies. Like I said, website. Make sure your website's good. The landing page is good. It holds the attention of the customer as soon as they get there. And it keeps their attention. So I would say spend your money on a good website, good SEO, and then I would say put your advertising on what works in the community and area that you are. Some places, I know some contractors do great with things like paying for sponsorships at like little league games and on golf tees and stuff like that, because that's the community and that's what people are out there in their free time doing. So that works great. Here, online marketing works really good. Word of mouth, focusing on
The one reason why online works really good for Josh is because more than half his customers don't live in the state, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of winter Florida snowbirds up here and that own 2 houses or 3 or 4 houses probably. And this is just one of them. So that's one reason why his online presence is doing so well too, because that is definitely for sure. But yes, so that's where that is why the online presence. But you started with yard signs.
I started with yard signs, flyers, stuff like that. I have in the last couple years, I have used a flyer. I have a specific flyer that I bring to a client if I'm doing a quote, and that flyer has pretty much just a couple bullet points on it saying why choose me over the other guy. And those bullet points outline, what I have to offer. And then on the back, I've got a bunch of before and afters. And that's normally that. I mean, wasn't expensive to get those all printed up, and I feel like that makes a big difference when I hand the client something. They've got something to hold on to with your name and just some bullet points.
Now, here's a good $50,000 question. Do you do online quotes or in-person quotes?
Both. I do both. When I first started, I probably did more online quotes, like by Google Street View and stuff like that. In the last, I would say 2-3 seasons, I have dedicated, if I can, half a day to a whole day to actually quote. And these are those niche jobs like we are looking for. Once I get those quotes, I dedicate a day or half a day going out to those niche jobs, trying to close those jobs. But they're much more big ticket items than just like a $400, $700 house wash.
So when you go out to that, what all do you quote? Do you quote everything that's possibly that you can do, or do you only quote what they ask for?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's the reason why I like to go out and quote a lot more, because normally if someone, and I've done it, and I know you guys do it too, they'll call up and they say, I want my house pressure washed. Can you come clean it? It's a raised ranch, 1,500 square. How much is it going to cost, right? And most of the time, if you've done a few of them, you can just look at Google Street View, confirm the size of it, send a quote off, all said and done. 99% of the time, when I go and do that job, I will only clean or do what I quoted. However, if I go and quote that in person, most of the time I upsell gutters. They realize that they need their granite steps cleaned, or there's a section of roof that has moss on it that they haven't even noticed. And when I go and see that in person, not only do I close on the house wash, but you educate the client on, hey, you see that moss up there? That's actually doing damage to your shingles. We can add that onto it. So I've found that by going out to certain quotes, I end up having a bigger ticket than if I would just quote it online.
So you're getting bigger tickets by going in person because you're able to upsell more stuff.
Always. If I'm somewhere, it's guaranteed to be upsell.
Now, do you give the price when you're there, or do you tell them you're going to send it later?
It depends. If it's just a one service, I can normally give them the price right there. If it's more than one, or if it's something specific like wood restoration, I will normally not give them a price on the spot. No.
Why not?
Why not? Because I want them to think about it. One, I want them to think about it, and I want them to know that I'm taking the time to actually get together a fair package for them and outline it so they know what they're getting. Because I mean, to me, spending $750 on a service is a lot of money, no matter what it is. Spending $1,000 on a service, that's a lot. And to us, if we're doing $1,000 house washes every day, we can get into the rut of thinking it's just nothing. But that $1,000 is a lot to someone. So if you take the time to actually break it down and show them where that $1,000 is going, yes, that's US dollars.
Not Canadian dollars, but New Zealand dollars.
If you take the time to show it where it's all going, yes, I think that it comes across better, especially for the bigger jobs.
And I agree with this. You're not your customer, and just give me the price there. And you know,
and I do that.
And that's the thing too, right? You can't think of it as that's a lot of money to some people. You know, $1,000 to someone making $20,000 a year is a lot of money. A person that's making $500,000 a year, that's nothing for them, right?
But there's no way I'm going out to quote a wood restoration that's $16,000, and I'm going to walk around the house and go, it's going to cost you $16,000. There's no way I'm ever going to do that.
Are you not good enough?
Because they'll just say no. They'll straight away say no. Now, if I'm walking around and I see it's a raised ranch that's going to cost you $600 or $650, the job on the spot.
I like Tristan. Just do it. Tristan's my young guy. He's 21, 22 years old. He's killing it out of Dallas, Texas. So,
oh, nice.
He's over $100,000 already this year, so pretty cool.
Sweet.
So let's talk a little bit about what about Is that a bear outside? I don't know if it is or not. But
Maybe.
I didn't lock my doors. I should have locked my doors on the van after watching that video from down in Gatlinburg. Let's talk a little bit about mindset. How do we overcome, or what were some things that you had to overcome mindset wise?
Confidence was a big thing, knowing the price, quoting a price and being confident about it. Owning it, standing behind it, and just running with it. And be prepared for people to say no. Honestly, people saying no is a good thing. If you're getting too many people saying no, then you need to slightly adjust your process. But in the beginning, I know it's difficult because if you jump into power washing or jump into your own business, you hear that $200 and you're like, oh, that's instant money I can to pay off debts or what. But you got to be not afraid of getting told no, that's too expensive. I think that's a mindset you definitely have to get over. And that will help you quote jobs and get more money and realize that you should be aiming for that, 40-50% close rate on your job. So when you're not doing that, something needs to change.
What about continuing education? Do you do you read books?
Yep.
And what's been a book that you read that you
Damn.
implemented that was a light bulb moment or something?
I
that
don't
helped
really
you?
read those kind of books, to be honest. I'm normally reading books on surfactants and chemicals and DOT regulations and that kind of education.
Let's talk a little bit, Jason. You're really shaving.
I
Off
know
the
he's
panel.
looking good, right? When I saw him, I was like, "Dang, you lost some weight, dude." He was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I have lost. Actually, this shirt right here is a large, so it's kind of crazy that I can fit into a large T-shirt. I don't know when the last time I fit into a large T-shirt. What did you say about $10 million offers by Alex Mosey is brilliant. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. We got about 5 minutes of what is the best surfactant out there.
Best surfactant?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about why I asked that question. What are you doing as we speak?
So I have another company, myself and actually a competitor, a power washer. We started a company together a couple years ago, and we manufacture cleaning chemicals and detergents. And yeah, we got a surfactant that I think is fantastic. I think it's better than anything else on the market, really.
And then you also do fleet washing chemicals too,
Yep,
correct?
we do fleet washing, we do acids and bases, and we've got wood cleaning chemicals coming out as well.
And that's why you know so much about the wood cleaning chemicals when we were talking about it, right?
Yep.
And that's why I kind of pushed a lot of that. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but that's all right. So, but what are some things that, as we talk about chemicals, what are some things that you can do, or what people need to know of?
You got to realize the capability of a chemical. You can't make it do something it just is never going to be able to do. Two, obviously the safety issue of it. You have to treat it as a volatile thing, and it comes with its risks. Different things make the chemical react in different ways: temperature, humidity, concentration. Keep everything labeled all the time. No matter what chemicals you're doing, make sure the labels are correct. Make sure you know what the health and safety way to go about to mitigate if you do get a spill or if you get a burn. Be prepared to use what you have. Have your MSDS sheets always with you. So if something does happen, you can call that help number on it and they'll walk you through. What else? Health and safety, knowing what a chemical can do, and knowing that as soon as you learn how to use these chemicals, you got to charge for it. I mean, a lot of people don't use sodium hydroxide because of its nature, but if you learn how to use it, you learn how to use it properly, and you learn that as a tool. It's the same as someone mastering how to use a tool as skillfully as he can. Once he learns how to use that tool skillfully, whether it be, you know, a carpentry tool or something, a metal work like a weld or something like that, once you've learned the skill of that tool, you charge accordingly. And it's the same thing with using chemicals. They're tools. So if you master how to use them in the right way, you got to charge accordingly.
So what I would tell you, Eli, is go back into this video about 30 minutes ago, and he talks about how to get those cleaned and everything in pretty depth detail. So that's where I would tell you to go back to that. Awesome. So what are some words of advice if you were starting over for a new guy?
Starting over.
What are some words of advice you would give people?
Man, be confident, back yourself. You know, if you're wholesaled into this, be confident with what you've learned and your pricing, you know, stick to it. If you're closing too many jobs, you need to raise your prices up. Get ready for people to say no, because once people start saying no, then you know you're right in the ballpark. So I would say advice is, if you can get over that first hurdle, that mentality of, you know, trying to think like your customer, if you can get past that and beyond that, it really is, the potential's unlimited of what you can do. Yeah, for me, it's not working all the time and making millions of dollars. For you guys, it might be, but that's the advice I would give. Yeah.
What are some hobbies you like to do when you're not working, which you don't work a whole lot in?
I don't work a whole lot. Nah, I don't. And that's why I love it. I love hunting and fishing.
So if you took all the
traveling.
hours you actually worked, you made 125,000. You probably ended up working what, 3 to 4 months last year?
Nah, it was more than that. But yeah, it was
Not much more.
It was a solid 5-6 months.
Well, your wife just said you only work 3 to 4 weeks,
How
3
many
to 4
employees?
days a week. So
I don't have any employees. I almost did, and I decided not to because I just like to be really thorough, and I don't like working that much. So I like to have the freedom to go out and enjoy living life, you know. So owning your own business, it can give you the ability to make, you know, 6 figures every year consistently, or 7 figures if you want to. But at the same time, if money doesn't mean everything to you, it gives you the ability to, you know, be free to do what you enjoy doing.
yep. All righty, go check out King of Pressure Wash. That's where, if you want to join the membership, I have everything that where he's learned from. Or you can go to KPW Train. I have an upcoming class in September and October. One for Christmas. Both of them will have Christmas lights. Both of them do have pressure washing. We are going hunting eventually.
Yeah, I want to shoot one of them Kentucky whitetails.
Yeah. So I hope you all have a good night, and we'll see you all later.